guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thank you for stopping by. Today we are going to be discussing my November TBR, which is a scary thought because I am so behind on absolutely everything that I've been reading. My Goodreads challenge, my 2024 fantasy bingo board, just life in general. So I'm going to try and cram in as much as I can in this month and next, hopefully to be able to at least feel somewhat accomplished by the end of the year. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, now is where we do a little B-roll or something, maybe something. Okay, so for my 2024 Goodreads challenge, I normally read 100 books a year. Honestly, I haven't accomplished it in the last couple of years. I think once. It wasn't last year, it was the year before that I hit my goal of 100 books. And I barely made it by the skin of my teeth, I will tell you. But I did it. I wasn't able to reach it last year. I think I was in the 70s maybe. This year, I'm really far behind. I thought I was gonna be able to catch up during summer, but then that's when I decided to buy a new house and I just did not have the time. So I am officially 38 books behind on my reading challenge. I have read 47 for the year and I need to catch up desperately. With that being said, there is going to be a lot of graphic novels in the next couple of months because I can at least get through those pretty quickly and it kind of will help balance out the chunky fantasy books that I'm going to be reading because there are a few on my TBR that I have to get through. And then the rest are things that I just kind of want to get through. I'm going to be participating in a reading challenge along with the Goodreads challenge and the 2024 Fantasy Bingo Board. I'm going to be participating in the Clear UR Sht readathon, and that is hosted by Mouse Reads. I'll link their channel below so that you can see. It's basically a challenge to clear out your physical TBR. My physical TBR is probably 800 books deep at this point. I keep buying them but not reading them. So that's something that I need to fix. And I'm not going to do that by stopping the purchasing of books. I'm going to do that by reading more. So that is my goal for the month, for the rest of the year, honestly. But here are just the books that I'm planning on getting through this month. So currently I am listening to Empire of the Vampire by Kristoff. This is a reread for me. I read this book when it first came out. I think it was about 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 at this point, somewhere in there. It's a vampire story, obviously by the title. But in this world, vampires aren't sparkly or fun or fluffy. They are bad. The sun has been blocked out, called Day's Death. Vampires now are free to roam any time of day. There's always been the knowledge of vampires and the lore, but they became truly real in this world after the sun was blocked out. We don't know why. There's some suggestions of maybe an asteroid with a dust cloud or, you know, someone burning out the sun. There's speculation, but there's no knowledge of it yet as far as what's in this book. I don't know if we get more information in the next book. I haven't read it yet or the ones to follow, but so far we don't know what blocked out the sun. This book follows the main character named Gabriel De Leon. He is a pale blood. He is half vampire. So his father was a vampire and his mother is a human. And it's only boys. Girls cannot be pale bloods. Follows an order called the Silver Saints. They find all of these half vampire, half human boys and train them to be warriors to fight against the vampires in a interesting narrative. So it's told kind of Interview with a Vampire style. The book opens with Gabriel being captive and a vampire historian is actually interviewing him to record his story because he's supposedly the last of the Silver Saints. So the story is told in the present, but it does a lot of jumping back. So that takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you get used to it, it's easy to read. The story is great. I love it. I'm loving this reread. I enjoy so many aspects of this book. If you have a strong faith, particularly in Christianity, because that's kind of what this is based around, this might be a tough read for you. The main character has lost his faith in this story, so there are some things that might come off a little blasphemous, so it just kind of depends on what level you consider blasphemy at that point. So I'm listening to this one so that I can read the sequel. Hopefully I can get to this month, and it is on my TBR. So the sequel is Empire of the Damned. These are the Illumicrate editions. They're super pretty, but the reason I am reading this is for my dear sweet husband. This is his favorite author and favorite series, and he's been wanting me to read these so badly. He was so desperate for me to read the first book let me backtrack a second. I bought the first book myself. When Kristoff was talking about it coming out and there were ads for it and everything, I pre-ordered it. I was so excited about Empire the Vampire that I pre-ordered 3 copies of it by accident. So when Barnes & Noble shipped my pre-orders, I had 3 copies end up at my door. When I had those 3 copies, I kept one, I returned one, and then I gave one away to a friend. One day, my husband is scanning through the bookshelves and he's like, this looks really interesting. What's this about? And I was like, well, it's about vampires. He grabs the book, he starts reading it. Instantly, it becomes his favorite series. He's obsessed. Given that it's a very thick book, the first one is the one I'm referring to, I didn't grab it right away because I was in the middle of reading other things and going to school at the same time, so I didn't have a whole lot of time, I felt like, to devote to something so thick and scary. He was begging me. Because of this, he actually made a deal with me that if I read Empire the Vampire, he would read ACOTAR, which is hilarious because I agreed, so I read Empire the Vampire, he read all of ACOTAR, then he read all of Throne of Glass, then he read all of Crescent City. He has a huge crush on Bryce. Well, he did until the 3rd book. The man is now obsessed with Sarah J. Maas, so really who won in that? Anyways, so Empire of the Damned came out at the beginning of this year. Obviously, when it came out, my husband scooped it up immediately within 2 days. He finished the whole book in 2 days. He was super excited, and we actually went to go see Kristoff in Dallas, and we got all of the books signed and everything by him. That was really exciting. But again, my husband has been begging me to read this series so that he has someone to discuss it with. None of his friends are readers, so he doesn't really have anyone to discuss it with. So I'm gonna read it for him so that we can finally talk about it. So that's on my priority list to get done, hopefully this month. Next on my TBR is going to be Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. If you watch my last vlog, you'll see that I keep trying to get to this and it just has not happened. It's been a chain of events. Spookopoly, I got a roll and it was supposed to be like the highest rated book on your Goodreads TBR. So I pulled up Goodreads and it ended up being Lightbringer by Pierce Brown, which is the last book in the Red Rising series. There's like 5 books before it. I had read Red Rising, the first book, a really long time ago, and I really enjoyed it. I just have so many books that I just never got back around to the series. When that came up, I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to finagle this a little bit. So I decided I'm gonna read Golden Sun to fulfill my prompt for the reading challenge. So I listened to Red Rising again while I was painting and doing stuff around the house. That way I can pick this up. I never got around to this for October, which is pretty shameful of me, to be honest with you. I don't know why. I just kept pushing it back. And now I started it, okay? Be proud of me. I started it just to make sure that I actually get this book in the month of November. I'm only on page 4, but I started it. So that's a step in the right direction, but hopefully I can get through Golden Sun this month just because I don't want to be a failure. If you're unfamiliar, Red Rising it's a sci-fi fantasy dystopian kind of is how I describe it. It follows a young boy named Darrow. He's a miner on Mars. They're mining helium-3, which is supposedly used to terraform the solar system. However, Darrow finds out that he is not actually this pioneer who's on another planet, and their people are not just mining this material to expand the solar system. It is already built. Everything is already built, and they're basically just being kept as slaves underground, fighting for their lives, while people of higher classes are out there just living their best life in cities that are built and everything. So Darrow joins a revolution. He is sent up above ground to be amongst the higher classes, the golds, the blues, grays. It's a color-coded system. He's a red, the lowest class, forgive me. And he is sent up to destroy the system from within. So he is posing himself as a gold and is sent there to destroy the system within. Darrow is a badass. He's an absolute badass. In the last series, there was this whole trials thing, and now he's at the academy. From what I've read so far, he might be out of it. I don't know in this book, but I'm only 4 pages in, so forgive me. But it's a really good series. Like I said, it's sci-fi, but it has a lot of fantastical elements. It has some dystopian elements. I really enjoy the story. So I'm excited to read this one. Next on the list, we have Malice by Gwynne. I'm not 100% sure what this is about. I know that it's a high fantasy with a male protagonist, which all of the ones I've seen are so far, so I'm gonna have to mix some other stuff in there just so I can have some variety. It seems from the synopsis that this is a battle between the light and the dark. There is a reference to like angels and demons. I don't know if they actually appear in the story or if that's just figurative language, but the story follows Corbin, a young boy who is training to become a warrior. People believe that a war is coming between the light and the dark. A long time ago, giants roamed the earth. There was a great battle between between them and the giants were eradicated, and it seems like they are coming back and they are rising up. So we're not entirely sure what is going to happen, but there is war coming. This is a book that I picked up for the Catch-Up Book Club. It's a read-along that's hosted by a few YouTube channels. I believe Becca and the Books might have started it, and then she brings in other hosts to help with the read-along. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that that's what it is. I heard about it on her channel. So this year I've decided to participate. They started a new series, so I've decided to jump in and participate. What's going to happen is every 2 months we're going to read a book set in this world. This author has 3 series. Only 2 of them are set in this world though. So this first one is 4 books, then the second one is 3, and we're going to read 1 book every 2 months. And then at the end of those 2 months, there's going to be a live show and like a group discussion. So I decided to participate this year for a couple of reasons. One, I feel like I need to read more epic fantasy. I've kind of fallen into a realm of romantasy, and I'm starting to get sick of it, to be honest with you. Like, I'm really starting to get sick of it. So some of my favorite series are more epic, like Throne of Glass, for example. It's an epic fantasy. I'm sick of the romantasy, to be honest with you. I like stories that have epic fantasy elements, or like in that direction. Like Throne of Glass is my favorite series. If you picked one of the 3 Sarah J. Maas series that is my favorite, is Throne of Glass. My least favorite is actually ACOTAR, surprisingly. No, I can't even say that. It's Crescent City. I'm joining for that reason. I'm also going to be buddy reading this with my husband and my father-in-law. So my husband's stepfather, he's wanting to get back into reading, and he was recommending some books to me, and I was like, that sounds similar to this story. So I decided to introduce him, and he got the book, and we're gonna read it. And then my husband's like, well, you can't leave me out. I've been wanting to read this book for forever. He's seen it on the shelves at Barnes & Noble for a while, and he's been wanting to pick it up. So the 3 of us are going to buddy read it while I'm also reading it for the Catch-Up Book Club. So this is one that is high on my priority list to read in the next 2 months, actually. I'm actually going to be annotating this one as well. I normally don't annotate my books since I'm going to be discussing it with others. Since I'm going to be discussing, stupid dog. Damn it, shut it. Since I'm going to be discussing this book with others and my memory is pretty shot, I've decided that I'm actually going to tab and annotate the book. Sorry for the dogs barking. Let me bring them in. Okay, I'm back. Next on my TBR is some of my cheating for my challenge, my reading challenge. I've got Yakuza Fiance Volume 3. I have Volumes 3 through 8 that I can still read. These are quick. I can read these in about a half an hour. So I might just get through as much of these as I possibly can. I also have the 14 volumes of the first Tokyo Ghoul. I think I've only read the first 3. So that gives me a lot that I can use for my Goodreads challenge. And then I also have Lore Olympus. I have all of the Lore Olympus books. I haven't read any of them. So I think that I'm actually gonna grab those up as well sometime. Maybe not this month, but in the next 2 months, because I am desperate to get closer to the completion of my reading challenge. So we'll see how that goes. As far as the other reading challenges go for the last 2 months, I have some books to fulfill certain prompts that are going to be difficult to pull off for me, and then other ones that are just kind of things I want to read. So for my 2024 fantasy bingo board, one of the squares is Bard. There aren't that many books with bards. I have looked them up. They're kind of hard to find. I have read A River Enchanted already, and I could technically read the sequel of A River Enchanted, but I never got the Illumicrate edition to match the Illumicrate book that I got. And I have been on the hunt for that sucker on Mercari for I don't even know how long, but they're so expensive. People have them up for like $200, and I don't have that kind of money to spend on that book. So I haven't decided what I'm gonna do, whether I'm just gonna leave it like that and never finish the series, or if I'm gonna order the American edition and just have them not match. I don't know. I'm just still hoping that one day my luck will change and either Illumicrate will reprint it or some good-hearted soul will just sell me their copy for cheap. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. With that being said, I am choosing to read this Savage Song by, well, it says Victoria Schwab, but it's V. Schwab. We are all familiar with her. I hope. She's written books like Dark Shade of Magic, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, stuff like that. I do enjoy her books. They are all very different. Addie LaRue was kind of a struggle for me. I loved the premise, but just the writing style was a bit of a struggle for me. Dark Shade of Magic is great. I read Gallant. I even enjoyed that one. So I'm hoping that I enjoy the writing style of this one, because it is not a guarantee that it's going to be like any of the other books that she's written, but that's okay because it has a bard in it and I need a bard for my bingo board. I don't entirely know what the story is about and there is nothing for me to read, so I'd have to look it up on Goodreads. Apparently he is a demon maybe who can steal people's souls with music. I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds really great and I've heard wonderful things about it. So I'm hoping to read this one this month so I can knock that at least off of my bingo board. The next book that fulfills a obscure prompt is Immortal Dark. So for the Clear UR Sht readathon, there is a prompt that has a character that you want to fight in real life. This right here, I've already started it and I had to put it down because I wanted to fight the main character so badly. So this is a story that follows a girl who is looking for her sister. Her family in this world, vampires, can only drink from a particular family, I believe. So she believes that her sister, everyone else in her family has died. It's just her and her sister left. There's probably some sort of curse or something. I'm not entirely sure. Her and her sister are the only ones left. They went into hiding a really long time ago. Her sister has disappeared and now she's on a quest to find her sister. It sounds more innocent than that. She's actually a terrible human being. So she's committed murder. Pretty sure that the person she murdered was someone that was really close to them and raised them, but that's besides the point. She's looking for her sister. She thinks that the vampire that's attached to their family house stole her sister, which it doesn't seem like it does. There is a romance involved, I believe, between the main character and that vampire. I don't know what direction that goes in, but what I do know is that within the first 75 pages of this book, the main character goes to her family home at this university, finds a room filled with historical artifacts, and destroys all of them to spite the vampire living in her home. And that made me want to fight her in real life. So far, I do not like her personality at all. I think she's a terrible person. She's very closed-minded and one-sided and only sees what she wants and doesn't care about who she hurts in the process or the history that she destroys. So needless to say, this one will definitely fulfill that prompt. It's whether or not I can actually get through it myself without like my rage kicking in because she made me so mad and I want to fight her, but it will fulfill that prompt. So we've got that one. The next are just books that I've been wanting to read. They look really good and I'm hoping that they'll fulfill some of the prompts. Usually what I have to do is find books that I want to read that fit the prompt because generally speaking, again, I'm a mood reader. Now there are some times where I can just grab any book and be like, oh, this is really cool. I did that with another reading challenge at the beginning of the year. I'm not in that mind space right now. I really am like in my mood reads. So I've grabbed some books that I want to read and hopefully they will fit some of the prompts that I need. I'm sure I can finagle something, but we're gonna try and be as close to it as we can. So we have Tale of a Monstrous Heart. What is it about? Okay, so the first book that I am in the mood for is Tales of a Monstrous Heart. So this is the one that I had to order from the UK because I don't think they have it in the US. If they do, it hasn't come out yet. I don't know if it's getting published late or if they just don't have a US publisher, but I could not find it for the life of me in the US, so I had to order it from Waterstones. This story, I think it's a romantasy, possibly with some dark academia. It's just got creepy vibes and I'm feeling it right now. I'm still in my creepy vibe era because I live in Southeast Texas and it's like 85 degrees and sunny right now. It's fall. It's fall, my grass is still green, it's still like warm and bright and I'm not feeling it. So I like to close my blinds and hide in my house and turn my AC really low and pretend like it's cold outside when it's really not. So again, I don't know terribly much about it, but it did sound good from what I can remember. So this is one that I feel like I can probably fit some prompts around and I'm looking forward to reading this one this month. Next on my list is a romance. I needed a romance, something light that I can throw in there. It's not a rom-com. It's Sophie Lark, so it's gonna be on the darker side, but it did sound good. It's a small town with a dangerous hot doctor next door. Ooh, I guess this girl moves into an old mansion that she inherited and yeah, things ensue. So I'm hoping that it's got some creepy vibes, but it is a romance, hot doctor, creepy house, love all those things. I'm hoping that it's good, so we'll see. But I figured throwing a romance in there would help because it breaks up all of the fantasy that I read, so I'm excited for this one. Next is one that I got in a Fairy Loot box. I think it was September's Fairy Loot YA, but we've got this one. It is, and I know I just said that I'm getting tired of romantasy, but that's what's out there right now. Okay, so I'm gonna read it. But this one is The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. This is a, I believe, enemies to lovers romance between an assassin and a thief. opposing like houses or something like that, and then they end up working together and they start to fall in love. I don't entirely know what the full synopsis is, but I know that it sounds really, really good, so I wanted to pick it up. So that's hopefully something I can get to. This, again, Fairy Loot edition. It's super, super pretty. And the end papers are like, they're really dark, but you can kind of see. I don't know if you can see. Can you see? I'm too blind to see if you can see, but like that art just kind of, you know, makes me want to read it a little bit more. I love assassins and thieves. I love like that whole concept. Enemies to lovers. Who hates that? Some people probably do, but feeling it. So next on the list is a book that I've held on to for a very long time, and I've heard wonderful, wonderful things about it. And I tried reading it years ago and I just never got into it, but that is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I'm a huge fan of Caraval, and people say like, you like Caraval, you're gonna like The Night Circus. I don't think that that's true, but I am still looking forward to reading this to try and find out. So this story follows, what is going on outside? Follows a boy and a girl, and they are in a circus, and I believe they are in a competition in the circus to see which one's better. I'm not 100% sure on the details of it, but it's something that has been on my TBR for a very long time, and it's got a shiny cover, so my ring light is hating it. But it's been on my TBR for a very long time, so I'd like to actually get it knocked out. It's a standalone, so I need a standalone rather than jumping into more series that I will probably never finish at this point in my life. Yeah, so this is one of the ones that hopefully I can find a prompt to fit, because I do want to read that. Next up is Masquerade of the Heart. This is a sequel. It's by Katie Rose Poole. It is the sequel to Garden of the Cursed. It came in an Owl Crate, I think like 2 years ago, the first one, and I really liked it. I picked it up on a whim, I think, just because it was one of the new books. It didn't sound like something that I would be like super into, but I ended up like falling in love with the series. It follows a curse breaker, and it's a girl from the poor side of things, but she's a curse breaker, so that's what she's known for. And the son of someone high in a political faction finds her and asks for her help because he believes that he is cursed. It's kind of a mystery. She goes through and they're trying to figure out who cursed him, why, how to break the curse, all that kind of stuff. And then they kind of start feeling a little bit something for each other. It seems like it's going in that direction, but nothing has like actually happened yet between the two of them. There's just kind of like an attraction, which I like. I like more of like a slow burn. I don't like insta love or anything like that. So I'm really excited to read this one and see where the story goes. I don't know if there's a third one or if it's a duology, but so far I'm excited for this. And then last on my potential TBR, which again is just things that I want to read because who knows what I'll actually get around to or what I'll be in the mood for. But the last one is Long Live Evil by Sarah Reese Brennan. This again is also a Fairy Loot edition. It's super pretty. This story sounds super awesome. If I was ever in this situation, I feel like this is what I would want to happen to me. But this story follows a girl who has cancer, and she's given a short window of time to live. While she is on her deathbed, someone approaches her and says, you have the option to stay here, or you can go into your favorite story, find an object, bring it out, and if you do, you will be healed and healthy and everything will be great. So she is teleported into her favorite story, and when she gets there, rather than being a heroine or, you know, a side character even, she ends up becoming a villain in this story. She is the main villain of the story, and she has to figure out how to get out of the situation that the villain has put herself in while keeping with the story, while trying to find this object to bring back so that she can go home. She ends up being the villain. She puts together a ragtag team of villains to complete a heist, and it just sounds like pure chaos and enjoyment, and I am super, super excited to read this because if I was ever teleported into one of my favorite books, I probably would also want to be the villain, and getting together a team to perform a heist, that just sounds amazing. So this is another one that I want to read. I heard it was hilarious. It had a lot of humor and banter and stuff in it, so it sounds just like an overall good time, and I'm hoping that I can find a prompt that works for this because I've been super excited to read this one. Other than that, I've got obviously an entire running TBR of books to choose from. I'm hoping that I can get through some of these. I might not. I might jump into other prompts. We'll see how things go. I never know what I'm going to be in the mood to read, so let's just hope that I'll get some of these knocked out. Definitely at least the ones that are on my like have to read TBR. The rest are just for fun, and I'm excited, hopefully, to get through them. So wish me luck, really. Just wish me luck. Thank you guys for visiting my channel. If you are new, thank you for stopping by. If you are a reoccurring viewer of my channel, all like 5 of you, thank you so much for sticking with me through all of these years and all of this madness. If you like the video, please do drop a like below or leave a comment. Let me know if you've read any of these books, or if there is a book with any of these vibes that you could suggest that I might have, because I would love to hear what you guys think or what you would recommend me to read. Shorter the better, to be honest with you, because I need to get a lot done. And if you do like my videos, please don't forget to subscribe. That way you can get more content from me. It will get better, I promise. It'll get better as time goes on. I'm still getting back into the swing of things. So thank you again for stopping by. Bye guys.